The following is a presentation of the Eagles Sports Network.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into week number 8 of the Mike Clowney Show. I'm the voice of the Eagles, Adam Cavalier, alongside Carson-Newman head football coach Mike Clowney, as the Eagles fall on the road to the Mars Hill Lions by a final score of 44-13. Mike Clowney felt like a Murphy's Law kind of Saturday and struggled from the word go. The tone, unfortunately, set with a delay of game penalty and a false start before you even took your first offensive snap. And really, it felt in a way like the Mars Hill game from last year, where a 3-minute span, a lot of detrimental things happened. Bang, 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 and tough to recover from, especially from the jump. You talked about it in the post-game show, addressing problems, struggling to start fast on the road. Why is that?
If I knew we got it fixed, I honestly don't know. I mean, there's still a lot of growing up that we have to do, as a football program. And I think, we talk about, intrinsic motivation versus extrinsic. I think it's one of those things, like, you have to show up ready to play. You have to realize the moment within the games. And I think it's a mindset taken on the road that's different from playing at home. And I think we have to still develop that.
I think, obviously frustrating for everybody involved. The sense from the players afterward was frustration additional, because we'd heard was really good week of practice, and from the little bits that we'd seen, really good week of practice that unfortunately didn't translate to Saturday.
I think that's the thing that's probably most disappointing for all of us. You still see the growth, you still see the things kind of coming together, but then it's just like, and then, even when we talked about like the little moments at the beginning, at points in times during the season, we haven't let those affect us, but then, here we go, and we let those affect us again at the very beginning of the game, and we just kind of let a couple bad plays create an even worse situation, put ourselves behind again early on the road, and you got to be able to kind of work to overcome that.
Some things affected you that hadn't affected you all season, especially defensively, and that was giving up big plays in the passing game. Mars Hill had 7 passes of 20 yards or more. You got to go through the last 5 weeks and combine them all together to get that many 20-plus yard passes that you gave up. Was it scheme? Was it breakdown? Was it a little bit of everything? Why was Mars Hill so effective deep?
I think it was a little bit of everything, but overall, I think, they do a good job. I mean, at the end of the day, I'd say that I call it one play because everything's kind of set up off of the one scenario, and it's almost option football. He's got an inside option, he's got an outside option, he's got a pass option, and so wherever we kind of stuck our nose in the wrong place, they did a good job of capitalizing on it. And then, a couple times, like, we get off the bus slow, we get stuck flat-footed on routes or get out of position, and they've got really good players, and when you do that, they make you pay.
I think some of it, and you alluded to it, is to their credit. Those issues being flat-foot were evident early, but they made some plays in the second half where you had it read, had a guy double covered, and still hit for a 50-plus yard pass.
They stuck, I know that slant route is one that, he really wants to hit the flare out there. We get it covered, we got the slant covered, but the quarterback has enough time to find the second window. He throws it in that, we don't stay over the top of it, and then that's an easy touchdown for him.
Carson-Newman falls on the road to the Mars Hill Lions in week number 8, 44-13. We break down the first half when we come back after these messages on the Mike Clowney Show.
Sure, we've been around a while, 171 years to be exact. Founded on the banks of a creek. This creek, Mossy Creek. We know the power of a liberal arts-based Christian education and the tremendous potential of what can be found on this campus, within this community. We are found here and here and here and here and also here in the classroom, on the field. We are adventurers, dreamers, believers, passionate and compassionate, curious and clever, driven by a common purpose towards a common goal.
We are.
We are.
We are.
We are.
We are family on a journey of discovery.
I found my passion. I found my calling.
I found family.
I found a way to lead. I found a place to call my own.
I found purpose.
There's something for everyone.
We are.
We are.
We are Carson-Newman.
What will you find?
Back on the Mike Clowney Show as Carson-Newman drops a 44-13 decision to Mars Hill on the road at Mears Stadium. Adam Cavalier alongside Carson-Newman head football coach Mike Clowney. And Mike, we alluded to it in the first segment, but probably a start that if you had to drop something that you just want to immediately throw in the trash can, it would be that start. The two penalties, you moved the ball, but were behind the sticks and couldn't convert on first down. Give up your first 60-plus yard passing play for a touchdown since week 1. And then ensuing kickoff hits Jelon Pearson in the chest in the end zone, bounces forward out of the end zone, and rolls out of bounds at the 1 and get a safety. Response on the sideline, how long did it take to kind of wash that nightmare from the system?
I think still, like, it took us too long to get past the first two penalties. I think is the reason that you see the other two plays. And so, it's just like, by the time we get things settled, once again, we're down, and that's just like, it just kind of stacks, like you're saying, like we get the two penalties, move the ball, like probably I think we wound up still like a 4 yard short. Yeah. But then we give up post route defensively. And so then you deal with the emotions from that, the kickoff that jumps out of, that hits his chest and jumps out of bounds, and you're at the 1, probably at some point there, probably, call timeout, to try to gather us together, from a coach's standpoint, probably would have been good to kind of get us settled down. And then just like I say, so many emotions just kind of going down off of that. And then, we give up a safety. Get the ball back, still move it to give ourselves a chance to score, and we're not able to kind of capitalize on it.
It felt like a potential turning point was Mars Hill on the move following the safety. Jake Cottle, strip sack, Nick Owens with the recovery. But then, as you alluded to, couldn't put points on the board, which has been both a blessing and a curse this season. 20th turnover that has happened in a Carson-Newman football game, either for an Eagle takeaway or a opponent or a Carson-Newman giveaway. Only 5 of those have resulted in touchdowns. It felt like that was the opportunity to kind of, all right, we're settled, push back, and stalled out in Mars Hill territory.
Yeah. And so that's where you always talk about, that emotional part of the game, and that was a great point for us to just kind of go build off of. But we got to find a way to kind of put points on the board with relatively still young football team, to where they can see some fruit from their labor, to kind of get themselves riled up to get back in the game, but we didn't.
Feast or famine offensively. There were times where you moved the ball exceptionally well, and when things were clicking, you were getting 6 to 7 yards a carry. And then there were times, and Mars Hill, granted, his 10th in the country in tackles for loss. They had 9 of those on Saturday. A lot of negative plays. Why was that?
Their linebackers are really active. Most of the time I thought up front we did a decent job of moving, but there was consistently like a guy, a spot that we didn't get protected the way we need to. Whether it was up front with the lineman or with the back, they're, like I said, their linebackers played downhill fast and were able to kind of capitalize. They sent a couple blitzes that we didn't pick up well to get tackles in the backfield. And so all of that stuff is things that, we have to do a better job of sealing and getting protected to where we can move the football the way we need to.
Carson-Newman trailed at the halftime break by a final score of 23-0, and here are the first half highlights.
in a yard in 2019. Play fake Urzua. Play action. Wants it long. Middle of the field. Has a man in stride. Complete to Thompson. Thompson racing away from Major Williams. And Thompson hauls it in for 6. Simeon Thompson, his first touchdown catch of the season. His first catch of the season. And it goes for 67 yards and an early Mars Hill leadoff play action. 1. A set for Mars Hill, bunched in tight. Urzua takes from under center, gives Newton right side. He is hit at the line of scrimmage by A.J. Hunter and slung backward, giving forward progress of a yard down to the 30.
An excellent penetration right there by A.J. Hunter. Worked right through a block, stuck in the hole, and made a good form tackle on Newton to ensure that he would.
Urzua under center in A set. Brings a man in motion, takes the snap, play fake. Urzua, smash in the backfield. Jake Cottle storms through and gets the sack. There's a fumble, and the Eagles come out of it. Nick Owens scoops it up. A strip sack for Jake Cottle. Nick Owens out of the fray with the pigskin. And Carson-Newman gets some sudden change. Weak side eye with Snelson and Newton. The give is to Newton straight ahead. He is smashed by Frank Lee in the backfield. And Lee seizes him around the shoulders and rolls him to the surface at the 45. No gain, 2nd and 10. Set with a single setback. Take the snap, gives jet sweep. Snelson, left side. Snelson around the 5. Snelson dragged out of bounds. He is in. Touchdown, Lions. Ty Snelson, second time he's scored this season on a jet sweep. And the All-American tight end finds Pater from 14 yards out. 3 wide set for the Lions. Snap back to Urzua. Taps it forward to Laurent. Major Williams runs the alleyway and snaps down Laurent in the backfield for a loss back at the 43-yard line. A loss of 3 on the play. 4th and 13. Eagles defense stiffens. And Carson-Newman will burn it.
All right, those are the first half highlights from Carson-Newman's road loss to the Mars Hill Lions. Mike Clowney down 23-0 at the break. What was your message in the halftime locker room?
Just one of those things we felt like we just need to get guys settled down. A lot of times you want to charge them up, getting ready to go back fight, but we were just in such a funk that we felt like we need to settle them down. We didn't feel like what Mars Hill was doing was overly complicated, but we just weren't disciplined to the point that we were doing what we needed to succeed. And so we just talked to them about, scheme-wise, what was going on, like, try to get them to lock in, to be a little bit more focused and disciplined with their eyes and being where they're supposed to be within schemes. But that was primarily it.
Brian Doe, after the game, told us on the post-game show that largely, even though the final score was in favor of Mars Hill by a wide margin, said that I think the quote was, "We did this to ourselves." One, what's that make you feel as a head coach that one of your starting offensive linemen is saying that? Second, is that fair recognition on his part?
Yeah, I think it's fair, and I think we've got a couple older guys that's getting to the point to where they can recognize some things that's happening. Even a period that we had at practice this week, a couple guys come up and like, that's not the standard. And that's where you got to be able to identify that to be able to fix it. The next thing that we got to be able to do is, hold one another accountable in a way that's productive to help us get things, fixed faster. But I think that is a fair assessment.
Ivan Corbin had some good moments, but also 11 of 24 for, I think, 97 yards, and went high on some throws, especially in that second half. What's he need to do to get settled under center?
I think one thing, Ivan, he kind of gets in a hurry a lot of times. If he just settled down and just, a lot of times it's just for him, it's really just follow through, on fakes. Just take your time, follow through. A good fake will do a better job of setting up, a lot of the passes that we want. And they'll put his body in better position if he'll do a good job of stepping and moving in the right fashion. But a lot of times, he sees something pre-snap, he kind of gets in a hurry to get it out there, and next thing you know, like his feet's not set, he can't get his weight through the ball, and he wound up leaving the ball high rather than getting his shoulder down.
Carson-Newman falls on the road to the Mars Hill Lions. Final score 44-13. When we get back on the Mike Clowney Show, we break down the second half. That's after these messages.
Tri-Light is proud to support Carson-Newman Athletics. We salute the student athletes who are working hard to make great things happen on the field, in the classroom, and in the world. It takes vision, commitment, and teamwork, qualities we share at Tri-Light. Our mission is to provide life-changing opportunities by building a world-class fiber broadband network. If you'd like to learn more, please visit trilight.net or call us at 833-847-0824. We love to cheer for our home teams, like the Eagles. It means more when we're rooting for the people we know. Did you know Tri-Light is your home team internet provider? We're right here in Jefferson City, serving the people we know with our ultra-fast, ultra-reliable fiber broadband network. And we'd love to serve you. Learn more at trilight.net or by calling 833-847-0824. Go Eagles!
Back on the Mike Clowney Show as Carson-Newman drops a road contest to the Mars Hill Lions 44-13. I'm Adam Cavalier alongside Carson-Newman head football coach Mike Clowney. Mike, a second half where your team did find some degrees of success and defensively did so with some stops in the second and third quarters, but it wasn't until the fourth when the second team had started to filter in that your offense found success. Zane Whitson moved the ball well at times at quarterback, got some extended looks at Don Dunning, and felt like you ran the ball hard in the fourth quarter. What did you see out of that crew?
Don's a hard, nice kid. He plays downhill. He runs hard. He's quiet. He just loves playing football. And then Zane, a couple things that we talked about, being able to connect, on the inside crossing route was good. And then I know there's one other thing that I can't remember what he threw. But I know the dig coming across, he did a good job of connecting on that. But then that group kind of went in and moved. Zane was able to run the football in and finish the drive.
A second half that still gave up the long touchdown pass there in the fourth quarter. But defensively, it felt a little bit more cohesive. Was just that a matter of the game had gone on and you finally found your feet?
Yeah, I thought, the kids finally settled down and understood a little bit more of what was happening. And then, like I said, we did give up the slant route for a touchdown. But overall, we kind of got in a little bit better groove and was able to that's where at halftime defensively, able to kind of make a couple of adjustments the way we were dealing with motion and so forth to kind of give them a little bit easier rein on what was going on.
The thing that we talked about leading up to the game was defending the run. Mars Hill was second in the conference, had the nation's 13th leading rusher in Javon Newton, and probably if I told you that, hey, you're going to hold him to a season low for rushing yards and yards per carry, you'd probably be pretty satisfied. And still, at the end of the day, the traditional running game, you did bottle up. It was the jet sweeps, the handoffs to Ty Snelson and Malik Laurent that ended up proving problematic on the ground. What happened to be so effective against the one, but so rough against the other?
With them, all of it's tied together. And we knew that we had to be able to stop the stretch to win the football game, and we basically did. But the other things that they ran off of it became the problem. So we still have to be able to get that other stuff covered while we stop the stretch.
Carson-Newman falls on the road to the Mars Hill Lions by a final score of 44-13, and here are the second half highlights.
Setback. Laurent in motion. Fake the jet sweep. Roll the pocket right. Throw to Newton right side. Complete for a touchdown. Lions into the end zone for 6. Urzua fakes the jet sweep to Laurent, rolls right, dumps it right to the flat to Newton, and the running back is in the end zone for the first time today. Strangely enough, through the air. Lions 29 and Carson-Newman nothing with 10:34 to play. Nelson will bring out the ensuing kickoff from the 2. Nelson straight ahead along the right hashes. Nelson fighting through tacklers. A stiff arm pass the kicker, and he's caught from behind at the 40 by Al Edwards. Tyree Nelson. A 60-yard return down to the Mars Hill 40. There is the highlight of the day so far for Carson-Newman with a Nelson. Long kickoff return and the strip sack by Jake Cottle. Corbin on 4th and 12 is back to pass. He steps up in the pocket, scampers left, chucks it off his back foot, middle of the field. Hot Westfield goes up, gets it. Westfield wins the jump ball inside the 10, down at the 7-yard line. And that is the longest play of the day for Carson-Newman. It covers 33 yards down to the 7. First down for the Eagles. Side left. 2 tight ends, Abner and Morrison. On 2nd and goal from the 1, Corbin takes, calls his own number left side, bounces it around the tight ends, and Corbin is in. Touchdown, Carson-Newman. Carson-Newman, at long last, gets on the board. Ivan Corbin rushes. Knock on the doorstep now. Whitson takes the snap, calls his own number. Whitson, the Red Sea parts, and Whitson is in. Touchdown, Carson-Newman. Zane Whitson scores his first career touchdown on the 13th play of the drive, and the Eagles have scored twice here in the fourth quarter. It's 44-13 Lions with 3:02 to play in the fourth. 6 yards for Zane Whitson.
All right, those are the second half highlights from Carson-Newman's road loss to the Mars Hill Lions. When we come back, it's time for Talon Talk. This week, it'll be Andrew Coulter walking the field. That's after this on the Mike Clowney Show. All right, back on the Mike Clowney Show as Carson-Newman drops a Week 8 game to the Mars Hill Lions. Time now to walk the field with Talon Talk. And this week, joining Michael Watrang, it's Andrew Coulter.
Hi again, everybody, and welcome into the latest edition of Talent Talk, joined by senior tight end Andrew Coulter. Andrew, let's go ahead and start our trot here. High school career, 4 state championships. What do you remember most about your playing days at Alcoa?
There's so much to remember playing with Coach Rankin and that staff there at Alcoa. Just going through, I guess the most memorable thing would be going 15-0 senior year, beating Maryville on the road, our 6A crosstown rival, and then sealing the deal in Cookeville with another state championship.
Do you have the 4 rings?
I have the 4 rings.
Where do you keep them?
Keep them in a little glass case in my room back at home. Yeah.
When was the last time you wore any of them?
When I go back to campus to watch my little brother play, I'll slip one on, pick one of the 4, whichever one I'm feeling at.
Do you have a favorite year of the 4 that you played, that one that's maybe more memorable? I know you mentioned the 15-0, but is there anything that really sticks out?
Senior year was great, an undefeated season. But I'd say my sophomore year, I got called to, on a Sunday before the game, to change positions and start that game as a sophomore against 2 Division I prospects. And I really find that very memorable, as Coach Rankin, being the high-profile coach he is, believing in me to get that done.
How'd you end up at Carson-Newman?
So I played offensive line in high school, so I had to go and show myself as a tight end, linebacker, hybrid, whatever it may be, on my own. And so I came to the camp and had a really good camp and just enjoyed the campus and the family atmosphere here at Carson-Newman, and that it's more than just ball here. And that's really what drew me here. And Coach Kreider, the relationship I have with him, a tight ends coach, has been unmatched.
Let's transition into a couple fun facts here. What is your earliest memory of being an athlete?
Playing golf with my dad when I was 2 years old with the plastic Little Tykes golf clubs, just smacking it around and then going up to Dad's ball and then hitting it again. And yeah, so I'd say that's probably my first sports memory.
Are you still a golfer?
Oh yeah, that's a big hobby of mine. So,
what is the thing that you're bad at?
My friends say dancing. They say I can't dance very well, so I'd say dancing.
If you could meet one person throughout history, a statesman, be it an athlete, be it an actor, who would that one person be and why?
Let's see. Gosh.
It's a tough question.
Yeah. Wow. I'd say Bobby Jones.
Okay.
The golfer, Bobby Jones.
That's definitely a good answer. All right, back into this. How would you describe playing tight end in Carson-Newman's offense?
It's gritty. It's a real blue-collar position. We do all the dirty work. We make the adjustments. And we're also role players, too. You know, sometimes they don't need us as much in some games for some sets that they do in others, but it's really cool to be able to answer your call of duty and be like, hey, we need you, and go out there and execute.
Looking at the future, you mentioned that you want to potentially be an oral. How did you come upon that, and what are you excited for the future there?
Well, I'm excited for the journey. It's a lot of school, and it's going to take a long time, but I'm excited to be able to learn and grow my education in a different field of medicine. I've always wanted to be a doctor of some sort, but with the relationships I've had with my dental doctors, it's really drawn me to that field, and I'm really excited for the 8 more years I have of training.
Just a short 8 years,
yeah,
right?
just short 8 years.
Well, Andrew, thanks so much for the time, and best of luck in the future.
Thank you so much.
That's Andrew Coulter on this episode of Talent Talk.
All right, thank you very much, Michael Watrang, Mike Clowney, Andrew Coulter. What a leader, what a guy to have as that secondary offensive lineman at tight end.
Yeah, so Andrew's just a super great guy, good football player. I was fortunate enough to be the guy in the office when he and his parents first come up on a visit. So to just be able to see him on the very front end of coming in here and just kind of see, you know, like where he's been able to progress. Another kid come in as a walk-on, you know, worked and to earn his way, you know, and now he's a starting tight end for us.
All right, turn your attention, unfortunately, for location-wise, back to the road. Emory and Henry has had a fine year for a first-year Division II institution. Abington is a place that loves its football, and you head into the Wasp's Nest to play Emory and Henry for the first time since 1975. One road game notwithstanding, and the things that need to result to have a positive result there. What's the attitude, the mentality heading on the road to take on a fairly upstart program?
Yeah, I mean, they've got a really good program. I mean, they were one that's on our side, so we played, you know, a couple of common people. And so we've seen them on film a little bit, you know, throughout the season. Do a great job, hard-nosed football team, very well coached. But, you know, the biggest thing that we have to continue to do is we have to continue to fix our woes. We have to find a way to get off the bus ready to play this weekend.
For a team that this season has, for the most part, done this, and this week a definite valley to that progress, what, if anything, you kind of alluded to it from the outset, is there a gut feeling that you have that indicates that this might be the root of the problem when we are on the road?
You know, I don't know if we, you know, sometimes being at home, like everything's kind of open and available. You know, I don't know if it's a thing where we're just kind of not getting to bed and getting rested up to get done what we need to get done the next morning. But I think it's something that we'll sit down with our football team and definitely talk about this week so that we can find some solutions.
Mike Clowney, pleasure as always. We'll talk to you next week at Emory, Virginia.
Looking forward to it.
It's Carson-Newman head football coach Mike Clowney. I'm the voice of the Eagles, Adam Cavalier. This has been the Mike Clowney Show. Thanks for watching.